Before we get into anything, please tell the audience, what is Cyberpunk 2077?
All right, big question for a big game. Cyberpunk 2077 is a narrative-driven open-world RPG. You take on the role of V, an urban mercenary, and the world is constantly trying to get you down to your knees, right? What you're basically trying to do is make your own stand in this world and carve your own path. You get to play as a cyberpunk, sort of, which is not necessarily, mercenaries. The one you take the control over is a cyberpunk, but mostly it's an attitude thing, right? You choose to live outside of the system, you make your own rules, and you try to take things into control. So it's story-driven, open world game with a lot of content and our trademark RPG polish. Let's say that.
Okay. I know many want to know. You're known for Witcher 3 being the latest. What is the difference between Cyberpunk and Witcher 3, and what can we expect?
All right. Most notably, I guess that would be the switch to a first-person perspective.
Absolutely.
And I've heard some people go, that doesn't seem very typical of CD Projekt Red games, right? Because previous games have been done in third-person perspective, or I don't know what our card game, Gwent, qualifies as when it comes to perspective. But I think for us it makes perfect sense because we've always been a studio that focuses on making really, really good RPGs. This is what we do. This is what we specialize in. And while working on Cyberpunk, we quickly realized that in order to maximize the player's immersion, to really create a new standard of immersion, we needed to switch perspective. It really makes a lot of sense once you see it running. We have an entire dialogue system that is built just to work with it. And it's sort of us doing our part to give first-person perspective back to RPGs, right? I think it will work out really nicely. I know there's people very worried about it for various reasons. One being that it's an RPG. I want to take a look at my character. I gear up, right? You'll have gear, lots of it. You'll be able to equip a variety of different weapons, armor, and the whole game is about style and looking cool. So you'll be able to get a lot of screen time for your character in various cutscenes. You know, when it makes sense, we'll try to give you this third-person moment without trying to break any walls.
Okay. Right.
Talk a little bit about the character of V and how you can customize the character.
Right. As I mentioned earlier, control is something that V wants of her life, right? In a world, again, that tries to bring you to your knees at every point, you can only take your life into your own hands. And we kind of mirror this with our approach to role-playing games. So in this case, we decided to give you this control by allowing you to fully customize your own character. That includes the gender, but also things as you choose your origin, your life path, where you come from, what your ambitions are, and of course, role-playing stats. Then the whole ordeal of your visuals, right? Body type, hairstyle, whatever, you name it. And you can really make V your own character.
Can I put some tattoos all over V?
You could.
Oh my goodness.
And this changes how your character is treated later in the game?
Absolutely, yeah. Not only the life path, but also the gender has an impact on how people in the world treat you and perceive you.
Okay, and you were talking about you can choose how your character looks. I love getting new clothes for my characters in games. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, like playing games where I can like dress up my character and look really cool. So I read a little something about V being able to put on a jacket that like ups her street cred.
Right.
So are all of the clothes going to have like bonuses, or can you just put on stuff and look really cool?
Yeah, I mean, it's a full-blown RPG, right? So equipment with stats is kind of a no-brainer almost, right? And yeah, street cred is a particularly interesting addition to this game because it's basically, we say, a kind of experience point you can get from completing open world activities or side quest activities, and it basically mirrors your reputation as a mercenary in the game world. And depending on how high your street cred is, different characters might approach you in different ways, and you'll unlock new content throughout the world.
You said worlds. So I'm a sucker for detail. I look at everything, everything. So, Night City. Is it fully interactive? Is it alive? The city itself and that car. Can I drive it around everywhere? Because I mean, it's a really neat looking car.
Yeah, I can give you. So I'll answer the first part first, right, and then the second part. Interaction is a really big thing for us in an open world, especially when it comes to RPG content. We want you to be able to really have a feeling of I'm in control of things. I can walk around and do the things that I want to do. There's small details we added to the game world to enhance this experience in the demo that we're showing behind closed doors. Sorry, everyone. You'll get your chance. No worry. It's just not there yet. We have an ad of a soda machine or like of a soda brand. You can go there and interact with that ad, and this ad isn't just there to look nice, but it actually tells you where you can then buy the product it's advertising for.
Oh.
So small things like that that you can use to make this game or the world feel more like it's actually a world that exists, that you can inhabit and be part of.
And being an RPG, I would imagine this has some sort of a progression system.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
That's something where we're still, designing a lot of things and balancing things. Of course, we have a leveling system that is based on experience points, right? We have the street cred system that sort of runs parallel to it. Players will be able to use to utilize different abilities and skill into different abilities as well. We have entire actually, maybe that's something I can rather touch on that directly connects to that. We don't have a class system, right? We're featuring what we call a fluid class system, where basically we sort of design the game with multiple archetypes in mind, that being the solo, the netrunner, and the techie. But you as a player will be able to specialize in any combination of these and sort of create your own character. Again, coming back to control as a thing you do. And even here, depending on how you sort of invest your character's life, if you will, people will react to that. They'll see, you seem to be particularly skilled in this branch of thing. Maybe you can help me out in that way. So you really get to build your own, say, brand within the game world.
All right, so in the trailer, somebody was getting their eyeball ripped out. All right, we have to touch on this. So is that a way to upgrade your character?
Sorry?
Ripping the eyeball out, arms.
Yeah, absolutely. We call this, in the game, there's people, they call themselves Ripper Dogs, which are, the name sounds vile, but their business is only really, let's say, crass from our perspective, right? In the world of Cyberpunk 2077, having implants is as normal as people having tattoos. And going into tattoo studio is also not something that is, necessarily a very freaky occurrence. So people just go to these doctors and get their arm chopped off and replaced with something else, right? And or in our case, and we showed this in the demo, we replace your eyeball with a cybernetic eye that allows you to scan objects and zoom at certain things in the distance. And this is actually a cool example where first person enhances immersion and how we use third person to make this still look good. The cutscene we're showing in the demo is one where basically your eye gets linked up to the new eye, or basically your nervous system, right? And then you have the scene where the Ripper Dog in question takes the eyeball and actually sort of you see yourself through this new eyeball. You're looking at your body while you're being implanted.
Oh my gosh.
It's not necessarily for the squeamish, I guess, but there's no blood in that scene. It's just very cool, right? You get to see your own character, and the fascinating thing is really how casual it all happens in the whole thing, right? You as a patient, you're like, fine, I'll just let this happen to me. And the doctor, for them, he's almost like a dentist. He just kind of goes through the motions, like, do you feel anything? Or I'll just take out your eyeball, right? And I'll just put it here and just move around.
Now, if we were to trick out our character with a whole bunch of different cybernetics, is there any kind of a repercussion that V might experience?
That's an interesting topic. So we're still experimenting with these in the world generally because we're inspired by the source material a lot. We have something we call cyberpsychosis, which people think or assume is caused by people implanting themselves with too much machinery. Now, we're not entirely sure if this will affect the player, but it is definitely part of the game world.
Wow, Miles, we don't have enough time to ask the questions I want to ask before all your eye-ripping action. Where can we find more information on the game?
That would be on our social media. I guess we will be posting anything that comes up as soon as possible. And I don't know. It's really freaky for me as just a small game developer. You know, we're all over the internet right now. You'll be able just find us.
All right, guys, you heard it first.
Like and share if you enjoy the video and think others might benefit from this, and of course subscribe and hit the notification button if you are new to the channel and want to be notified every time I post a video.